Hey guys, Lucy here on the GameSpot E3 2015 stage. I am joined by Dan Pinchbeck, who's
Hi
the
there.
creative director on Everybody's Gone to the Rapture. And you know what, Dan? We have the game, like I can see it on this screen. Let's get it straight in there because it just
Sure,
looks
let's do it.
absolutely gorgeous.
Thank you
So,
very much.
I'm from England. I have spent time in Shropshire. So, why have you chosen Shropshire? I mean, it's a beautiful, beautiful place, but as a setting for your game.
It's really beautiful. It just sort of seemed to have that natural kind of like combination of the kind of like rural, isolated, bit of a sort of like, it just was England, you know,
Yeah.
and we were kind of like, we want to make, if we're going to set this in England in 1984, we've got to find somewhere that just feels like, what's the most English place we can get to? And we did a lot of looking around, did a bit of driving, did a bit of looking, and went, do you know what, it's Shropshire, it just is England with a capital E, and it just felt completely right, so.
And we can see here, I mean, if you want to, I don't know if you want to start wandering around, but it's kind of, it's suburban. I mean, there is no other way of saying it. It's just so English.
It's just
it
so
reminds
English.
me of when I was obviously I lived in the city, but when you'd go visit, like my sister lived in a place that was pretty much identical to this. And
So Rapture, we start the game. This is up at the Vallis Observatory, which it seems to be the centre. I mean, the whole thing's like it's an open world, story-driven mystery game, really. So we
let's
kind
talk a
of
little
dump
bit
the player in without really telling him anything. And
oh, you find it. It's fine.
You'll
so
be
I
right.
mean, what is the backstory here?
we don't really have any backstory for the player where you go in, apart from it's 1984, it's the end of the world, something's terrible's happened. Off you go explore.
Try and find out.
We're really kind of like looking for players to just engage with the story, get sucked into the stories of the people and the characters they find, and all the time you've got this kind of underlying mystery of whatever did happen, and really it's pretty open. We want to not handhold as much as we can.
That's wonderful. I mean, because I suppose that's the thing, isn't it? Because in most modern games, you know, press X to jump, do this, and it's relentless. But in a game like this, it's just kind of freedom.
Yeah, we really wanted to do that. We really like the idea of kind of evolving away from where we started with games like Dear Esther, where story-driven games tend to be very linear. You tend to just move along and the story drops in front of you. And we thought, well, it sounds like really interesting and really cool if we just go, well, look, there's a world full of story here, but we're not going to tell you where it is, and we're not really going to help you find it. Just go and make your own story out of the pieces we give you. And we don't have to do the usual open world kind of, you have a very open world, but you have linear missions within it. It really is extraordinarily open, and it's down to you to kind of join all those pieces together and make everything make sense.
Oh, so what are you doing here?
So around the valley, we have these strange phenomena that you find, and when you come across them, you're using the tilt on the DS4 to tune in like you're tuning in an analog radio.
Ah.
And if you find the right frequency, then it'll unlock these sort of memories and pieces of what's happened, which gives you all these kind of clues and lets you know about the characters that are around. And then while these are happening, there's no cutscenes, you're still moving around, you can find your own camera position. So these characters are quite static in this scene, but if you find them in other places, they'll start moving around, they won't wait for you, they'll just go ahead, carry on their lives, and how much you pay attention to that, whether you stay, join in with the story, whether you just wander off, is completely up to you. And that's really nice, because it means out of all the characters in the community of the Valley, you can find the people that interest you most and then follow their stories. You're not limited to just kind of following one plot as you go through.
So do they maybe mention like an area that they're going to go to, or can you literally just follow them the entire way there?
Yeah, well, you can follow them around. So there's 6 major areas in the game which respond to. I'm just waiting for the scene to finish and the lights to turn back on here so I can take you down into the village. There's 6 big areas, and in each area you find a story about one of the main characters, but they're not limited to that area, so the stories go backwards and forwards. The whole mystery takes place over 4 days, so people will just go about the valley and the places where they are. So if Stephen says, like, I'm going off to the camp, if you happen to be in the camp at the right time, you'll see what he did there. So
hang on,
you can
is it
start
also
following him around.
depending on, do you have a day-night cycle? Do things change depending on time of
There's
day?
not a day-night cycle because it's more tied into what happened when. So although as you progress through the game, the weather progresses, the time progresses, it's not like cycling through. We did have that in originally, and then we found that because we're jumping backwards and forwards in time anyway, when you threw that in over the top of it, people were just like, well, literally no idea now what's going on.
So, I mean, let's talk a minute about the visuals, because this is stunning. So, I mean, Dear Esther was made in Source engine, and this is CryEngine 4.
Yeah, this is CryEngine, which is an amazing engine to work in for these kind of visuals.
CryEngine 3.
CryEngine 3, that's right,
sorry,
yeah.
I said 4. I mean, how have you managed to make a world that's kind of so realistic looking?
A lot of time and a lot of research. We have We got walls in the office. It's like Carrie Bradshaw's Mad Wall in Homeland, with just like thousands of pictures up of the English countryside. An awful lot of research, and of course we're trying to sort of do our best to make sure everything's dated accurately.
Yeah.
So we had things like in the fields, like we had to look up, we've gone to amazing places like World of Silage. Did they wrap hay bales in 1984? What did pylons look like in 1984? And
these are questions that need to be answered, and
they
things
are,
that
yeah.
I've never actually thought of.
Sorry?
No, I've never actually thought of that. I mean...
No, well, I mean, and you can't, you have to, I mean, players, it's what I love about the game community. They really care about this stuff, and they'll catch you out. We've had quite a lot of people come back about the petrol station saying your petrol prices are wrong for 1984, and we've had to go back and go, no, it's gallons, not litres, you know, and it's all had to have a lot of thought and a lot of attention going into it.
I mean, we just went past there a red phone box, which sadly disappearing from the British countryside.
I know, we really miss them. So yeah, it's nice to be able to go back into an England that kind of still has those features.
I mean, look at that pub. I mean, you could go past that pub.
We can go into the pub.
Oh, really? Let's do that.
Yeah, we didn't originally, you couldn't. And one of our artists, Rich, he went away at a weekend and made us a pub interior, because he said you can't have an English pub game without being able to.
Without being able to head in.
Go in, and they've got the yard of ale there.
Oh, yes.
Ale of the day. We got fish and chips there. I mean, it's just, they've done an amazing job. We're so lucky. The team are absolutely fantastic. They're so passionate. And they're young, and there's so few of them. I mean, there's 15 people have made this game, which for the scale of it and the way it looks is really quite extraordinary. So
50p for a pint?
15, yeah.
Good grief.
An art team of between 4 and 5 people at any given time. So they've done amazingly. And 3 of them, it's their first job out of college. So they've really just, it's exceptional what they've come up with.
So let's talk a little bit about DRS still, obviously Chinese Room's first game. Have you had you wandering around? There wasn't really much traditional gameplay, and it's always the game that comes up in the discussions of what is a game, what is our game's art. I mean, what is your response to that?
I think it just, there's so many games now. Whatever your taste is, whatever game you want to play, a game exists. We should just be celebrating that. That's, to me, is why the game industry is so awesome. We shouldn't be saying, well, you can't do this or you can't do that with stuff. Every single time someone does something that bends the rules a bit or breaks something, does something different, we should be standing up and like just cheering them on. So if it's not your type of game, that's fine, play something different. I mean, I'm a huge shooter fan, and it's mainly what I play. And it's kind of nice to make something very different to that. But yeah, diversity's great. Diversity can only ever be a good thing. We should just celebrate it. So it doesn't really bother me if people go, is it a game? You go, well, if you think it's a game, you want to play it as a game, it's a game. Go great, enjoy it, you know.
So we're just wandering a little bit around this beautiful town in Shropshire right now. So, I mean, it kind of reminds me a lot of Gone Home, which is, I'm sure, a comparison you get a lot.
Yeah, well, it's kind of nice that, you know, kind of Dear Esther, then Gone Home, then it's moved into things like Adrift. We've had Ether One. It really feels like there's a kind of a burgeoning genre appearing, but like the games are becoming more complex, they're becoming more interesting. That whole thing of kind of walking simulator, if you just walk along and it gets told to you. Really, I think most of these games have moved beyond that now, which is incredibly exciting. So, yeah, we're really proud to stand shoulder to shoulder with them.
Yeah, and it has a real strong vibe of The Vanishing of Ethan Carter as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is another game where similarly you're plonked in a world. That one gives you a bit of exposition though, that you're, but this is just kind of the pure gameplay thing.
Yeah, so we don't, I mean, originally we had sort of, like with the tilt mechanism, we had them, they were more complex, they required kind of like, almost like unlocking a phone with your finger. And when we started putting it in front of people, they were coming back and going, but I just want to get at the story, and I don't want to have to be worrying about this, and I go from like being in the world into like puzzle solving mode. So we ended up pulling a lot of that stuff back and just going, you know what, people are here for the story, they want the story, let's just get out any HUD, get out any puzzles, and just put you as close into the world as we can, as close into the story as you can. And it seems that's really what people have kind of engaged with and wanted so much. So, which is great as a writer, you know, people are going, I don't want anything in the way of the story. You're going, oh, cool, that means I did a good job, you know.
So, I mean, how did you, so it's 6 characters that
There's 15 characters in the game overall. 6 of them are kind of like major characters that you follow through these 6 areas. And yeah, but what's really nice is, again, people really sort of latch on to smaller characters. Everyone in the team's got their favorite character, and they're not always the big characters. And when people are playing it, what we're really interested when the game goes live and people play it is saying, well, who do you identify with? Who are the people that you really like? And we try to really make them feel like real people, a real community. So we're hoping that when people play it, they'll say, I know these people, I live with them, I'm friends with them, I'm related to them. That makes it mean something when you're kind of going, so this is the end of the world. It's not some kind of like abstract thing. This is something happening to people that we recognize. It's happening to us. And that's really important, I think, to it.
It's also a very strange not strange, but I mean, when you typically think of end of the world, you think of a game like Fallout, you know, the barren wastelands. You think of the color brown. You don't think of a lush British countryside.
Yeah, we really like that it feels like really different, but it has this great kind of eerie Marie Celeste thing where you go along and there's like, you find a cigarette that's been half smoked, you find coffee still steaming, and it really makes you, it sets up that tone of, did I just miss this? When did this happen?
Yeah.
And am I going to sort of come around a corner? What am I going to find? And it makes it really interesting. And it's just for us, I think we grew up, Jess and I, in kind of like in the 80s, in the tail end of the Cold War, and it was, you know, you have this amazing, beautiful setting. We were terrified that nuclear bombs were going to go off. You know, there was complete social panic about AIDS. There were strikes going off left, right, and centre. And we wanted to play against that kind of really bucolic, beautiful English countryside with that underlying tension of, no, something really bad has happened here. And I think you feel more of that tension because it's so beautiful, because it's not, you're not looking at a ruined landscape.
Yeah.
You're going, well, how can something really bad have happened here if it looks and sounds so gorgeous?
If it seems on the surface everything's fine.
Yeah, whatever happened just happened minutes ago.
Really? Is that minutes ago?
Well, that's
Who
the question.
knows?
That's part of the mystery.
Who
You know, when did
knows?
this happen, and how long has it been, and how long have you been here? And they're all the questions that we want the player to really get into and answer.
And from a writing perspective, was it kind of easy to come up with these characters in this scenario? How have you managed? I mean, a board with, you know, loads of red string going from people to people.
It kind of was. I mean, we started with the characters, and we really worked on the basis of saying, if we create a really believable community full of characters that people really like and engage with, then that's most of the work. And then we can go and say, okay, well, now we understand Rachel's character. We know what she's like. We know how she reacts. Right, let's put Rachel in this situation. And then as a writer, you're then kind of going, it's almost like writing for soap opera, where you're not going plot, plot, plot all the way. You're going, we take people that you want to discover about, you want to find out what happened to them. If you get that, the writing kind of then falls from there. And then the big challenge was then, it was technically balancing it, going, right, okay, so if Meg's in the village at 4 o'clock on Tuesday, she can't be in the industrial estate at 5 o'clock on Tuesday, because it's going to take at least 2 hours to get there. But she's supposed to meet Stephen over by the laundrette at 3 o'clock. We had to go backwards and forwards, because making sure the scenes were in the right place. So all that kind of like logic made sure that it added up. Because again, players are smart. Players will get all that sort of stuff. And we really wanted to say, yeah, you know, the story goes deep. There's an awful lot of detail. So even though it's something which is mechanically not so complicated, it should appeal to kind of like quite hardcore kind of RPG players. And, you know, I grew up playing kind of like Mind Forever Voyaging and text-based adventures, and we really wanted to say, this is a modern text-based adventure. This is how you can still do that kind of really story-driven adventure worlds, but you can do it with incredibly kind of high-end graphics and audio and music.
Stan, when can we finally get our hands on Everybody's Going to the Rapture?
It comes out on August the 11th on the PSN store.
Not long at all.
Not long at all. We're really nearly there.
And Matt, so thank you so much for joining me. I'm afraid that's all that we have time for. Make sure you don't go anywhere, guys, because we've got more coverage here from E3 2015 right here on the GameSpot stage. Stay where you are.
Thank you.